The Iranian regime, what they're doing scares the shit out of me.
If you think about the breakout potential for Iran to develop a nuke, right, a weapon, some estimates now are about a week, 1 week, right, to develop enough enriched uranium. You've got to enrich
A week from right now?
If they're basically saying, look, if they make that decision, they need what, 25 kilograms of enriched uranium at like 90%. That's weapons grade. So they could do that within a week. Is a number of estimates, legitimate estimates. They could. That's for one. And okay, so is there value in that? Well, from their perspective, perhaps they could do 3 weapons in maybe a month's time. So that breakout that we used to talk about in terms of years, at least many months now is shrunk. Right? And so the idea is, as a flashpoint, people say, well, why should we still be worried about Iran? Well, because, there's a high likelihood that if the Israelis get, the sense that that's where they're heading, that they're going to do, then they may take action, right? Kinetic action to stop it. They've done it in Iraq. They did it in Syria, gone after, these capabilities. And that could obviously cause a flash there that spreads out of control, right, and draws us into it. So, there's reasons why, because people, sometimes people say, why do I care about Taiwan? Why do I care about Iran? It's because of the potential for a problem that we can't get our hands around, we can't control. And so with Iran, it's largely comes down to this issue of, what is their breakout? Now, aside from just enriching uranium, they got to come up with the weaponization of it all, right? And that could take longer, right? That could take months and months, right? But, it's a heavy lift to figure out what their plans and intentions are. So, and we kind of backed out of this. Biden administration was clear that they wanted to get back into the nuke agreement from 2015. It was like, we gotta do everything we can. And so they started those talks when they got in, and now they've kind of shut them down, basically, because the Iranians made some demands that weren't realistic. And also, the protests, right? And also, they're selling fucking weapons to Russia, right? So, Russia's turned to Iran and North Korea to resupply their hardware and get gear that they can't get, drones in particular, from Iran. So do we really want to be talking, a nuke deal with Iran at this moment? Probably not. Whether it's pragmatic or not, but certainly from a political perspective, there's a lot of shit happening that's very interesting. So we should be worried about Iran. We should be worried. Really, where are the big flashpoints? Russia, Ukraine, obviously, is one. Iran.
Wesley Clark is a 4-star general. He was the head of NATO, and he told Amy Goodman on Democracy Now! That he saw in late 2001 what is become known as the 7 wars in 5 years. That the plan from the neocons in the government was that we were going to overthrow all these governments in the region in the next 5 years. Now, this plan obviously didn't end up happening in 5 years, but it's literally, he names 7 countries, and there's 1 to go. And that one, by the way, happens to be the one that Donald Trump is flirting with a war with right now, Iran. All the rest of them have happened.
Israeli news reported today that a strike on Iran is imminent.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. No, we're very clearly moving toward this war, yet another catastrophic war. But so Wesley Clark gets asked about this in the debate, and he goes, it actually goes back much further than that. He goes, I first saw the plans in 1991, and it came from Paul Wolfowitz. Okay, so he goes, Paul Wolfowitz had these plans in 1991, and he took them to Brent Scowcroft, who was George H.W. Bush's national security advisor. So he takes them to them, and according to Wesley Clark, again, my source on this is a 4-star general. He says that Scowcroft went, we'll look at this after the election. 92 is the election year. They lose. Bill Clinton comes in, and he goes, and the plan kind of got killed. And then he said it was revived later in a study paid for by the Israelis. And that this was done, that Richard Pearl was really the one who brought it back to life, and that it was explicitly done because this is what they thought was necessary to protect Israel. And as I've mentioned to you before, now I don't know exactly what study he's referring to, but he said that's what he said. But I do know, as I've mentioned before on this, that anybody can go read The Clean Break. You could Google it right now. It's a clean break, a new strategy for securing the realm, which was a letter written by the guy he mentioned, Richard Pearl and David Wormser, to Benjamin Netanyahu in 1996. It was his first year when he came in as prime minister. And the whole thing is basically the clean break is a break from the peace process, a break from Oslo, because essentially Bill Clinton had gotten Yitzhak Rabin and Arafat to agree to like start this two-state solution process that should be loosely based around 67 borders. You got to finally give these Palestinians a state. You've been occupying them since 1967. You got to finally take your boot off their neck. And the clean break strategy was to go, listen, we got to get away from this whole idea of a Palestinian state and giving them land. And basically the thinking, the Yitzhak Rabin old school thinking on this, loosely speaking, it's a little more complicated, but basically they were like, look, we've been occupying the Palestinians for decades and decades now. The broader Arab world hates us over our treatment of the Palestinians. And so what you got to do is you have to make peace with the Palestinians so that you can get along with all these Arab states around you. That was kind of the thinking. And the clean break strategy was like, no. We're going to reverse that. Instead of making peace with the Palestinians so that we get along with the Arab states surrounding us, what we're going to do is we're going to overthrow all of those states. So we never have to make peace with the Palestinians. So we never have to have a two-state solution. What we'll just do is we'll go overthrow all of these governments. Of course, Israel can't go overthrow all of these governments, but the U.S. can. And so after they had these plans in according to Wesley Clark in 91. We know about the clean break memo in 96. But after 9/11, that's when, by a terrible twist of fate and all this shit, the neocons are in power. They're in George W. Bush's, but there is no Brent Scowcroft. There is no H.W. There's nobody with like a little bit of wisdom at the top. It's Dick Cheney at the top, and then his sidekick, George W. Bush. And they go, so now we're going to move to get this.
Do you remember when Dick Cheney was in the bunker and W wasn't?
Yeah.
That's when we knew it was up.
Yeah, that'll tell you something.
We were informed that he was in the bunker, which is so crazy. Like, why would you say where the guy everyone's trying to kill is hiding?
Yeah.
We haven't even touched upon what our adversaries are doing to our cyber infrastructure. I mean, Salt Typhoon is a massive telecommunications breach engineered by the CCP. It's public. It's not classified. And they literally got into our United States of America's telecommunications providers. Broken. And we are playing catch up. These are the priorities we're focused on. We have solutions for them. They take time. They're not sexy. No one wants to talk about upgrading the nuclear arsenal of the triad. It's not the sexy thing to talk about, but that's what we need to do. No one wants to talk about hardening our infrastructure and fixing our grid switch system across the country. You take out one electrical grid infrastructure plant and you take out a large chunk of this country. But when you don't prioritize those things for years, in these last however many years, then our adversaries get hip to it and they say, hey, there's a vulnerability, let's double down. And what our adversaries are doing, we haven't even talked about the war and Hamas and all that stuff. We don't have to. But they're teaming up. They're saying, look, we really don't like each other, but we don't like America more. So why don't we partner up? Why don't we use the drug trafficking organizations in Mexico for human smuggling? Not just drugs. Why don't we use you, Russia, Iran, the CCP get together? We'll sell ammunitions to you because you can't get them from anywhere else in the world. You don't have access to banks. You know, the biggest threat we have from a counterterrorism standpoint is Iran. And that's why the president's trying to achieve a peaceful resolution with them and end this war that Hamas started in October in Israel and Gaza. And nothing would be a better solution than a peaceful one to them, because we talked about hostages before. And what did they just report out? 2 more American Israeli citizens' bodies were uncovered yesterday or the day before. The cost of these wars, people don't see and feel right away. And unless you give them in your face 24/7 coverage of it, their focus is going to be on what CNN's talking about and how they're talking about it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the shift. And that's like one of the large reasons I was like, we have to come on this show. We have to at least swing at it. Well, I don't know how many people, maybe no one will watch it. Maybe some people watch it.
Oh, a lot of people are going to watch this.
No, but that's not the point for me. Like, we just have to try to reach different audiences. We have to try.
How do you fix this? It's like there's no you've created whatever the numbers are.
Yeah.
Whether it's 70,000 people or 20,000 people that have been killed that are innocents. You've created so many more potential terrorists
Yes.
because so many of the children of those people and the brothers and sisters and relatives of those people. So it's like reinforced this desire to fight against Israel.
But we,
And you could squash that. You just keep pounding them down till there's nothing left, which is what it seems that they're doing.
but we,
And I understand it from a tactical perspective, I guess.
do we have that animosity and hatred from Japan towards us, where we dropped, and killed 350,000 people?
Well, they did for a while.
Yeah, but
They certainly did for a long while.
Yeah,
I
but
had
now,
friends who'd go to Japan in the 70s, and they said
Yeah.
you could feel the hatred.
yeah, but now it's 55
Yeah,
years
they're not
later.
like that at all now.
Yeah, okay,
But it's a
so-
totally, completely different generation. So you think future generations will think about Israel the same way we think about Japan? Or Japan thinks about us?
No, because future generations in the Middle East, this has been going since day one, since the 6-Day War, since the Yom Kippur War, since day one they've been being attacked. So there's never
Well, it's also before Israel was founded. You got to go back to how they were being persecuted in Europe. It was insane.
Yes.
There's this guy Daryl Cooper's a lightning rod for controversy, unfortunately, but he's got an amazing podcast. He's got this series called Fear and Loathing in the New Jerusalem, and it starts out with the Jews being persecuted in Europe, and he takes you through what it would have been like for those people, and the gangs of people roaming down the streets, raping women, beating men to death in the streets. And it's so crazy because it's real. It happened, and it was these people's neighbors. And, this was why they got so many people to move to Israel in the first place.
Yeah.
Because when they said, look, we're setting up a state for Jews from all these Eastern European Jews, are like, okay, we're in. And they moved. And then you had
and they've also been there since Christ. I mean, they've been in Israel. Jews have
even
been-
before that, right?
a couple weeks.
But I think
Yes.
it predates.
I mean,
Doesn't it predate Jesus?
yeah.
Like,
I'm not a historian. This isn't my
let's
whole
find
life.
out. Let's find out since we can. What is the earliest? When did Jews first settle the land that's now known as Israel? It was Judea back then, right? Like what was it called? What was it initially called?
Miami.
But also, like, here, this is like, this is one of the reasons why this area is so contentious, is because Christians really believe that when Jesus
Holy
comes
Land.
back, that's where he's going to
coming
come.
back to Jerusalem.
He's going to
Yes.
come back to Jerusalem. Like, are you fucking sure?
But here's
Okay, sure.
here's another thing too. And I'm not. Listen, I've worked. I'm not going to be that guy. Oh, I had a Muslim friend.
There we go.
Listen,
Jews have been a history in the land of Israel, their presence dating back to the second millennial BCE. Okay, settling in the area around 1250 BCE. So that predates Jesus by 1250 years. It's funny they call it before current era.
Yeah.
Like, current era is not 2,000 years ago. Just say before Jesus, you motherfuckers.
that's what I said.
Second millennial BCE, the Israelites, considered to be the ancestors of the Jewish people, emerged as an outgrowth of the southern Canaanites. The Israelites entered Canaan in 1250 BCE, settling the hill country in the south. 10th century BCE, two Israelite kingdoms, northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah emerged. The kingdom of Israel was conquered by the Neo-Assyrian Empire in 722 BCE, and in 586 BCE, the kingdom of Judah was conquered by the Neo-Babylonian Empire. 538 BC, the Persian Cyrus the Great ended the Babylonian exile, and the Jews returned to their homeland. So they've been there since 538 BCE, started in 1250 BC, so they were there before anybody. Yeah. The Romans destroyed the Second Temple of Jerusalem in 70 current era, leading to the Jewish diaspora. Wow. Crazy fucking history of controversy in that one place. 48, the state of Israel was established. Many Holocaust survivors welcomed it as a homeland.
Yeah, 48. And since then, they've been at war.
And so they started settling. Another wave of Jews started coming in 1904, from 1904 to 1914.
So,
Yeah.
before 538 BCE.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, we're Palestinians there. Like, what are they don't even have a country. If you've got people that are right next to you that don't even have a country, they don't have, what do they do if they're ruled by Hamas? How do they fight back? Right? They are protesting in the streets now.
They
but
are
guess what?
against Hamas.
Yeah,
they are.
They get executed.
Did you just see that?
Yes.
The big protest? I just saw that.
Thousands and
Yes.
thousands of courageous people protesting in the street.
It's
They're like, we don't want any more of this. Stop.
Well, look what happened. They got. I mean, Kush of Israel's help got Assad out of Syria. Now the rebels took over, but Assad killed almost 500,000 of his own people, tortured 100,000. I mean, those are the numbers I read. I don't know if they're exact, but he's
There's
gone.
a lot of controversial about Assad and Syria.
Yeah.
There's a lot of controversy, about what actually happened and why we were backing the rebels. I mean, we essentially backed ISIS, which is crazy. We backed Al Qaeda, which is just nuts.